This year, Europe Week takes place at a significant juncture. It's in the middle of the campaign for the European elections, which will take place throughout the European Union from the 20th to the 23rd of May. And as everybody will know, campaigns are well underway, and while it may be tempting for some to sell the election as an opportunity to cast a protest vote against domestic policies, this is disingenuous, and in my view it's a wasted opportunity, because I believe that this election is about European issues, and it's about the next 5 years in the European Union, not about domestic policies or politics today. Citizens need strong representation at European level. We elect our MEPs to represent us in the increasingly relevant and powerful European Parliament. Many of us will remember when the European Parliament wasn't as powerful as it is today. Well, it is very powerful today, and is getting more powerful. So it's important that we do elect MEPs that can take a position on proposed European policies and legislate on our behalf with the governments of the Member States which are represented in the Council. So MEPs play a vital role in connecting citizens directly to the European Union. And we can clearly see the importance of the European Parliament by reflecting on the parliamentary term that has just taken place. During their term in office from 2009 to 2014, MEPs have been legislating on our behalf in key areas that are directly relevant to Irish citizens, such as, for instance, the creation of a banking union to ensure that taxpayers' money is never again used to bail out the banking system. The European Parliament was instrumental in bringing about a youth guarantee for young unemployed people in Europe, and in securing additional funding for that scheme. And during the next parliamentary term, which will run until 2019, it's likely that we'll see some proposals emerge for changes to the existing treaties. We'll almost certainly see more significant changes for those countries that share the single currency, the euro, particularly in relation to the further development of an economic and fiscal union. And crucially for Ireland, the question of the United Kingdom's relationship with the European Union will be addressed during this period. So a lot's at stake in the next 5 years. And in order to ensure that we have sufficient democratic legitimacy and accountability in the European Union, we first need a strong European Parliament with a strong mandate, working on behalf of citizens and capable of holding the European Commission to account. So too, at national level, we need to ensure that the Oireachtas is fully equipped to play a full role in the scrutiny of draft European legislation, and to hold the government to account for the decisions it takes at European level through the Council. And in this regard, I welcome the government's review of the Oireachtas structures for EU scrutiny that you yourself, Minister Donoghue, are currently leading. The European Union remains central to the achievement of Ireland's domestic and foreign policy objectives, to the promotion of our values and interests, and to peace and prosperity throughout Europe. There's no doubt, however, that the EU has become more complex in recent years. I was pleased, therefore, that the review of Ireland's foreign policy and external relations, being led by the Taoiseach's Department, is examining how Ireland engages in the European Union. And this process will be critical to ensuring that Ireland has the right strategic approach in place to maximise our contribution to and benefit from the European Union. And critical to the achievement of policy objectives in the future will be for the Oireachtas to increasingly engage in political dialogue with the European Commission, and in dialogue and cooperation with other national parliaments and the European Parliament. I see the respective roles of the European Parliament and national parliaments in the EU as distinct and complementary. And it will be important, therefore, to build on this dimension once the newly elected European Parliament is in place. We must strive to make better use of our MEPs, to increase their visibility and to better integrate them into the work of these houses, so that there's continuous dialogue and feedback taking place. Last week, I had the opportunity as chairman of the Joint Committee on European Union Affairs to attend a parliamentary conference in Riga, in Latvia, to mark the 10th anniversary of Latvia's accession to the European Union on the 1st of May. And on that occasion, I shared some of Ireland's experiences of EU membership over the 41 years that we've been member, and I learned of Latvia's experiences over the last 10 years. And despite the different time spans. The number of shared experiences between ourselves and Latvia was striking in terms of the experience of an economic boom followed by a property bubble and then a severe contraction in the economy, which gave rise to high levels of emigration from both countries. And all contributors at the conference last week were in agreement that the experience and destiny of countries within the EU rests largely in the hands of each member state itself. It's for each country to maximise its contribution to the EU and thereby reap the political and societal rewards that membership offers. Ireland has successfully managed this process to date, but it's one that we must renew our commitment to on a continuous basis in order to secure our interests in an ever more complex European Union. This year, Europe Week offers us an opportunity to look ahead to the next 5-year period and to the further development of the EU during that period. The Joint Committee of European Union Affairs has set out our work programme for the year in February, in which we flag the main pieces of work that we intend to progress. Since the beginning of this year, we've contributed to the government's review of foreign policy and to review of structures for the Oireachtas scrutiny of European affairs, with reports prepared for both reviews. At present, the Joint Committee is considering the issue of voting rights for Irish citizens who have exercised the right to live and work in another EU country, and we'll be preparing a report on this issue following the conclusion of a number of hearings on the subject in coming weeks. And this comes on foot of a recommendation from the European Commission in January that Ireland needs to do more to ensure that its citizens are not disenfranchised when exercising a right that they enjoy under EU rules to the freedom of movement of persons. The Joint Committee is also looking at the whole issue of economic and monetary union and what it might mean for Ireland, with a particular focus on the issues of democratic legitimacy and accountability. And it will review the new rule of law mechanism for the EU put forward by the Commission earlier this year, and it will look at greater depth at the implications for Ireland of a possible changed relationship between the United Kingdom and the European Union. And finally, as always, we'll continue to build on our bilateral and multilateral engagements with our counterparts in national parliaments throughout the European Union to build better relationships and inform each other of the EU scrutiny activities and the views of our respective parliaments on key matters. We will be meeting again in Athens in June with the other EU member states committees as part of the COSAC meetings, and we'll also use this opportunity to meet our colleagues in Albania and Montenegro. And as Minister Donoghue knows, the whole issue of enlargement, particularly in relation to the ex-Yugoslav countries, is very high on the agenda of the committee. So, Minister Laskian-Korla, the Joint Committee has a very full agenda. We're keen to be fully engaged in European issues through scrutiny, through examination of proposals, and through bilateral and multilateral relationships. And we look forward to continuing to do so. Thank you.